The story begins in the Malaysian city of Dai Hambo. Here, we are introduced to a man named Burhan, who is struggling with a serious mental illness. He is searching through a pile of garbage while talking to someone on the phone. After a while, we learn that the person he is speaking to is named Helmi, whom he considers his closest friend. Just then, a group of thugs starts harassing a young woman on the street. Seeing this, Burhan angrily walks over and tells them to stop, believing that he is still talking to Helmi. But in reality, he is not holding a phone at all. Only a small box with a screen and a few buttons. This reveals that Helmi is not a real person, but a voice created by Burhan's imagination because of his mental condition. The thugs begin mocking him and soon start beating him up. To everyone's surprise, Burhan suddenly fights back with professional combat skills and defeats all of them within moments. After that, he goes to check if the woman is alright, but she suddenly pulls a gun out of her bag and quickly runs away. At the same time, an ambulance from the Tempo Mental Hospital arrives at the scene. It turns out Burhan has escaped from the hospital once again. The nurses chase him down, eventually catch him, and take him back to the hospital. Meanwhile, the local news reports that crime is rapidly increasing across the city. Most of these crimes are being carried out by a dangerous gang called MADA, led by Shamshire, whose most trusted partner was Vera. Recently, the police launched a major operation against the gang, during which Vera was killed. The mission was led by the inspector, who swore that he would not rest until the entire gang was wiped out. However, Shamshire still continued to rule the city through fear. The next day at the hospital, psychiatrist Dr. Maloney calls Burhan in for a therapy session and asks him about his past. Burhan says the only thing he remembers is that people found him near a lake with a bullet wound in his head. The doctor encourages him to dig deeper into his memories, believing they may reveal the reason behind his mental condition. After trying hard, Burhan begins recalling a few blurry memories from his childhood. He remembers that his own parents sold him and left him in an old warehouse along with several other children. There, he met a young Shamshire, who would later become the leader of the MADA organization. At that time, the two of them were the best of friends. Then one night, a masked hero named Ahmad breaks into the warehouse, eliminates all the criminals, and rescues every child. From that day on, Ahmad becomes Burhan's greatest hero and lifelong inspiration. Later, Burhan, Shamshire, and the other children are sent to an orphanage. As time passes, every child is adopted by a new family, but Burhan and Shamshire are eventually adopted by Ahmad himself. Ahmad takes both of them under his care. Over the following years, he trains them relentlessly, turning them into the finest fighters of a secret military unit known as Team 3. But everything changes during one mission. Shamshire betrays his own teammates. He first kills Ahmad and then shoots Burhan in the head. That is the reason Burhan lost all of his old memories. As soon as he remembers everything, he completely loses control and angrily tries to attack Dr. Maloney. Just then, the inspector arrives. It is revealed that he is Burhan's elder brother. Together, they somehow manage to calm him down. A little later, Burhan walks out as if nothing had happened. After that, the inspector tells Dr. Maloney to keep a close watch on Burhan. The doctor replies that he should also be careful because the MADA organization has become more dangerous than ever. But the inspector firmly says that no matter what happens, he will never stop hunting this gang. Meanwhile, Shamshire arrives at the hospital with his bodyguard, Zim. He asks the hospital director, Dr. Ramo, for the files of two patients because he has prepared a special plan involving them. That night, Burhan is sitting in his room talking to Helmi. Suddenly, he notices Shamshire walking through the hallway. The moment he sees him, his anger explodes. He pulls the handle off his room door and chases after Shamshire to kill him with it. To hide his identity, he covers himself with the clothes lying nearby, wraps a cloth around his face, and throws a sheet over his back. His appearance now looks just like a superhero. Zim steps forward alone to stop him and tells Shamshire to leave immediately, but he has no idea that Burhan is an extremely dangerous, trained fighter. With a single strike, Burhan knocks Zim to the ground. Zim quickly pulls out a gun and tries to fire, but Burhan twists his arm, causing the bullet to fly in another direction. Hearing the gunshot, Shamshire comes back. The moment he sees the masked Burhan, he immediately opens fire, but Burhan dodges every bullet with incredible speed and agility. Realizing the situation is getting out of control, Shamshire escapes with his men. Burhan quietly follows them until they reach a restaurant in the middle of the city. There, Shamshire tells the two men with him to change their clothes and go inside to order food. As soon as they enter, one of them takes out a small device from his pocket and presses its button. In the very next moment, a massive explosion rips through the entire restaurant. Burhan watches everything from a distance with his own eyes. After the blast, a large piece of metal flies toward him, which he catches in midair and turns into his new weapon. A short while later, the police arrive at the scene. There, they find leaflets carrying Vera's picture along with a warning warning that anyone who stands against the MADA organization will meet the same fate as Vera. The next day, the inspector begins investigating the explosion and first arrives at the place where the attack took place. As he questions the witnesses, they all claim that a masked man, who looked exactly like Batman, was fighting the entire gang all by himself. Hearing this, the inspector is left surprised and dismisses it as nothing more than a made-up story. After that, he asks Dr. Maloney if there is any patient in the hospital who has received special combat training in the past. The moment she hears this question, Burhan immediately comes to her mind as he is standing nearby listening to everything. But the doctor hides the truth because she fears that if Burhan gets involved any further, his mental condition could become even worse. Meanwhile, Burhan has no intention of stopping. He first goes to Dr. Ramo because he wants to find Shamshire's location. When Dr. Ramo returns home that night, he finds the masked Burhan already waiting for him. The doctor tries to pull out the gun hidden inside his desk, but Burhan takes control of it before he gets the chance. Then, in a deep voice like a real superhero, he demands to know where Shamshire is hiding. But a few moments later, he suddenly starts coughing badly, making Dr. Ramo realize that the masked man is none other than Burhan. After that, the doctor decides to help him. He explains that if Burhan wants to reach Shamshire, he must first wipe out the 5 major gangs working under the MADA organization. Hearing this, Burhan decides that he will eliminate every one of those gangs one by one. But for that, he also needs an outfit worthy of a real superhero. Over the next few days, he secretly stitches a special red costume for himself during the hospital's sewing classes in the daytime, while spending every night fighting MADA's criminals. Finally, one night, he puts on his new red suit, ties a black cloth around his face, and steps into action. This time, he defeats another gang and rescues a kidnapped young man. After the fight, the young man is deeply impressed by his bravery and asks, "Who are you?" To keep his real identity hidden, Burhan simply replies that he has come from Kellawang City. From that moment on, stories about the mysterious masked hero spread across the entire city. He becomes the talk of social media, and people start calling him Keluang Man. Before long, he becomes the city's newest hero. Comic books, t-shirts, and even drinks with his name begin appearing everywhere. But none of this makes the inspector happy, because he believes this new hero could become an obstacle in his investigation. Later that night, Keluang Man attacks another MADA gang. He captures one of the thugs and demands to know where Shamshire is. But another criminal suddenly strikes him on the back of the head with a wooden stick, allowing both of them to escape. After this blow, more forgotten memories of his elder brother and his adoptive father, Ahmad, begin returning to Burhan's mind. Meanwhile, the escaped criminal returns to the gang's hideout and reports everything to Shamshire. It is then revealed that he is the true leader of the MADA organization. One of his eyes is artificial. After hearing the full story, he orders his men to bring Keluang Man to him alive at any cost because he wants to meet him personally. The next morning at the hospital, Burhan once again meets Dr. Maloney. By now, she has started suspecting that Burhan is Keluang Man, but she says nothing and continues his therapy. She asks Burhan to close his eyes and think about his happiest memory. As soon as he does, he finds himself standing in a wide open field. Suddenly, Ahmad appears before him. Seeing his mentor and father figure again, Burhan becomes emotional and says that he wants to take revenge on Shamshire. But Ahmad tells him to let go of his hatred and begin a new life because that is the right path. After saying this, he starts walking away. Burhan happily hugs him, and the next moment, he suddenly opens his eyes. As soon as he regains consciousness, he accidentally hugs Dr. Maloney instead. Realizing his mistake, he quickly apologizes in embarrassment and thanks her for the therapy. But despite Ahmad's advice, the fire of revenge still burns inside him. Once again, he escapes from the hospital and reaches the old secret base where Ahmad had once trained him. There, he finds all of his old combat gear. He puts on a protective helmet, wears a bulletproof vest, and also equips a special cape that works like flying wings. Now, his superhero form is finally complete. After that, Keluang Man sets out to destroy the last remaining gang. He discovers that the gang is hiding inside an old warehouse where illegal goods are being smuggled inside panda toys for children. Suddenly, a piece of metal flies through the air and crashes into the electrical box, cutting off the power to the entire warehouse. Strange noises begin echoing from the roof, and the screams of the guards outside can be heard. Seeing this, every gangster inside panics and pulls out their guns. The moment they open the warehouse door, Keluang Man charges in like lightning. At first, he is hit hard and crashes onto a pile of cargo. The gang members immediately open fire, but with incredible agility, he avoids every attack and takes down the criminals one after another. In the end, only the gang leader remains. He openly challenges Keluang Man, but within moments, Keluang Man knocks him to the ground as well. Looking around, he realizes that he has wiped out the entire gang. After this, the movie delivers a funny moment where Keluang Man accidentally enters a film set and, instead of chasing real criminals, starts chasing the camera crew, makeup artists, the director, the writer, and the producers. Somehow, the entire crew manages to send him back into the movie story and the filming resumes. At last, Kellawang Man believes that every gang has been destroyed and that only the final battle with the true mastermind remains. But before he can make his next move, the inspector arrives at the scene with his entire team. Meanwhile, the gang leader calls in the rest of his men for backup. Within moments, intense gunfire erupts from both sides, turning the entire area into a battlefield. Amid the chaos, the gang leader tries to escape, but Keluang Man chases him down, catches him, and slams him to the ground. He then demands to know where Shamshire is hiding. Accepting his defeat, the gang leader reveals that Shamshire is waiting for him on the rooftop of one of the tallest buildings in the city. Just as Keluang Man is about to leave, the inspector points his gun at him and orders him to surrender. But at that very moment, dozens of heavily armed gang members surround both of them from every direction. Although the inspector never liked Keluang Man, he has no choice but to fight alongside him. The two of them stand shoulder to shoulder and take on the enemies together. Keluang Man uses his incredible fighting skills to take down the thugs one after another, while the inspector keeps firing his weapon to hold them back. After a long battle, they manage to overpower most of the criminals. Just then, one of the gangsters throws a bomb toward the inspector. It lands so close that there is no chance for him to escape. At that exact moment, Kellawang Man hurls his iron rod at full force, changing the bomb's direction. A few seconds later, a massive explosion shakes the warehouse and flames quickly spread everywhere. Seeing the fire all around them, Kellawang Man grabs the inspector and jumps through a hole in the ground. They both land inside a sealed underground room with no way out. Left with no other option, they are forced to wait until the fire dies down. During this time, the inspector once again asks Kellawang Man to surrender, but he refuses without hesitation and says that he will not stop until he has taken revenge on Shamshire. Hearing this, the inspector shares a painful story from his own past. He says that there was once a time when he also believed he could deliver justice all by himself. He ignored everyone's advice and tried to handle everything on his own. But because of that stubbornness, many innocent people lost their lives. Even today, he deeply regrets that mistake. He tells Burhan that revenge will neither change the past nor bring back the people who have been lost. After hearing the inspector's words, Keluang Man falls silent for a moment and begins to think. But first, they have to find a way out. Working together, they come up with a plan. Using each other for support, they climb upward and finally manage to escape. The moment they get outside, the inspector immediately handcuffs Keluang Man and calls his team to arrest him. But as soon as the inspector looks away, Keluang Man cleverly unlocks the handcuffs, snaps them onto the inspector's wrist instead, and quickly escapes. Now, his only target is Shamshire. A short while later, he reaches the rooftop of the tallest building in the city, where Shamshire is already waiting for him. The moment Shamshire sees him, he throws a sharp weapon straight at him. But Kellawang Man catches it in midair. Seeing this, Shamshire is stunned. He recognizes Kellawang Man's fighting style and movements and asks in shock, "What? You're still alive?" But without saying a single word, Kellawang Man continues walking toward him. His eyes are filled with nothing but the desire to avenge the death of his mentor, Ahmad. The very next moment, the two begin their final and most dangerous battle. Since they were trained by the same master, their strength, speed, and fighting skills are almost equal. Neither of them is able to gain the upper hand easily. Sometimes Shamshire gains the upper hand, and the next moment Burhan forces him back. As the fight continues, Burhan angrily tells him that he was the one who murdered Ahmad, the man who raised them, cared for them, and trained them to fight. Not only that, but the bullet Shamshire fired also destroyed his life and left him suffering from a mental illness. But Shamshire defends himself by saying that if he had wanted to, he could have killed Burhan that very night. He deliberately spared his life to give him a second chance. However, Burhan refuses to believe a single word and attacks him with even greater fury. The two clash with sharp weapons and, in the end, Burhan defeats Shamshire and pushes him to the edge of the building. Just as he is about to let him fall, the inspector arrives with his team. He tells Burhan not to make the same mistake that would haunt him for the rest of his life. After thinking for a few moments, Kellawang Man grabs Shamshire and jumps off the building with him. On the way down, he lands on a sunshade, heads toward an open drain, and safely escapes by spreading his special cape. Sometime later, Burhan returns to the hospital and feels relieved that he survived. But that relief does not last for long. The MADA organization has already decided to attack him. Within minutes, several gang vehicles stop outside the hospital, and heavily armed thugs storm the entire building. Bullets and explosions destroy a large part of the hospital. The fire spreads rapidly. Many patients lose their lives, and countless others are seriously injured. Taking advantage of the chaos, the gang members begin searching for Dr. Maloney. They reach her room, but just as they are about to capture her, Burhan suddenly appears. He takes on all the attackers by himself and defeats them one after another. Now, Dr. Maloney becomes completely certain that Burhan is Keluang Man. But Burhan tries to hide the truth and urgently tells her to escape from the hospital. Dr. Maloney leaves the area and meets the inspector outside, who has arrived to rescue the people trapped inside. As they search for a way through the hospital corridors, an armed gunman blocks their path. The inspector engages him in a fight, and, at the perfect moment, Dr. Maloney attacks from behind and knocks the criminal down. After that, the inspector tells her to escape through the back exit while he stays behind to save the remaining patients. Meanwhile, Burhan rushes into the ward to rescue the patients. Suddenly, one of the gangsters throws a bomb toward him. He is forced to take cover to survive the explosion. When the smoke clears, he sees a face standing before him that leaves him completely stunned. It is Ahmad. At first, Burhan believes it is just another one of his hallucinations. But this time, after noticing Ahmad's injured eye, he realizes that everything is real. Then, Ahmad reveals a truth that completely shakes Burhan to his core. Ahmad tells him that he is the true leader of the MADA organization. Hearing this, Burhan is left utterly speechless. The very next moment, Ahmad lands a powerful punch that knocks him to the ground. With that blow, Burhan's final lost memory returns. He finally remembers the complete truth about that night. In reality, Ahmad was never the great hero Burhan had always believed him to be. He was actually a ruthless weapons smuggler, whose ultimate dream was to become the most powerful gang leader of all. That same night, Ahmad had offered Burhan and Shamshire a choice to join him and become part of his criminal empire, but Burhan firmly refused and tried to stop him. That disagreement quickly turned into a fight between the two. Shamshire stepped in to break it up, but the gun in his hand suddenly went off, and the bullet struck Ahmad directly in the eye. Seeing Ahmad injured, Burhan believed that Shamshire had tried to kill him. He angrily reached for his own gun, but before he could react, Shamshire fired a second shot. The bullet hit Burhan in the head, and he collapsed to the ground. That was the very bullet that caused his memory loss, making him believe for years that Shamshire alone had ruined his life. Now, the entire truth stood right before his eyes. Despite being badly injured, Burhan makes one final attempt to stop Ahmad, but because of his wounds, he is no longer as strong as before. Ahmad launches another attack. Burhan folds his hands and begs him to stop, but Ahmad furiously blames him for the loss of his eye. He then picks up his gun and is about to kill Burhan when the inspector arrives just in time and shoots Ahmad. Even after being wounded, Ahmad manages to escape. After that, the inspector safely helps Burhan out of the hospital. As soon as they step outside, they notice Zim carrying a suspicious bag. The inspector immediately becomes suspicious of him. He tells Burhan to hide somewhere safe while he chases after Zim. When he catches him, they discover that the bag contains a time bomb. The two of them try to stop it, but the countdown is already running out. Just as the timer reaches 0, the inspector forcefully pushes Burhan away. In the very next second, a massive explosion tears through the area. A little later, when Burhan gets back on his feet, a heartbreaking sight awaits him. The entire hospital has been reduced to ruins. Injured people, dead bodies, and destruction are scattered everywhere. The survivors blame Burhan for the tragedy because the gang came after him, and innocent people lost their lives because of it. Hearing this completely shatters him from within. Overcome with guilt, he quietly walks away without saying a word. The next day, he secretly visits the hospital where the inspector is receiving treatment. Seeing him lying there injured fills Burhan's eyes with tears. He walks over, apologizes for everything, and admits that he has no idea how he can ever make up for the damage caused because of him. Just then, Dr. Maloney walks into the room. Burhan tries to hide, but she stops him. She tells him there is no point hiding the truth anymore because she already knows that he is Keluang Man. With a broken heart, Burhan says that he no longer even knows who he truly is or what kind of life he should live, encouraging him. Dr. Maloney says that a person's past does not decide their destiny. It is the choices they make today that define the kind of person they become. Hearing her words, Burhan finally realizes his mistake. He understands that revenge will never make anything better. If he has to fight, it should only be to protect innocent people. With that new purpose, he decides to destroy the MADA organization once and for all. He puts on the Kellawang Man suit one last time and heads out for the final battle. Before long, he arrives at the MADA organization's massive dockyard hideout. Shipping containers are stacked everywhere, and snipers are positioned on the high platforms. But Keluang Man cleverly moves through the containers unnoticed and silently begins taking out the snipers one by one. Just then, one of the gang members hears a noise and rushes over, only to be shocked after finding his teammates lying unconscious on the ground. As soon as he climbs onto a nearby container, he spots Keluang Man creating his famous symbol. The thug is about to attack him, but Keluang Man gives him a powerful shove. The burning cigarette falls from the thug's mouth, and the the fire spreads to the symbol below. In the very next moment, Keluang Man's glowing emblem lights up the entire harbor. Ahmad, standing aboard the ship, sees it as well and immediately realizes that Burhan has arrived. Without wasting a second, he orders all of his men to get down and kill him. A massive battle then erupts across the entire harbor. Meanwhile, Shamshire stands beside Ahmad, watching his brother fight. He raises his gun and aims at Burhan, but at the very last moment, he changes his mind. Instead of pulling the trigger, he decides to face him in hand-to-hand combat. The final clash between the two brothers begins among the shipping containers. Since they know each other's every move, the battle becomes extremely difficult. During the fight, Shamshire tries to kill Keluang Man, but Burhan counters with his iron rod, leaving Shamshire hanging from the edge of a container. Shamshire believes Burhan will finally take his revenge by letting him fall, but this time everything has changed. Instead of letting go, Burhan grabs his hand and tries to save him. He no longer wants revenge, but wishes to correct the mistakes of the past. Tears fill Shamshire's eyes as he realizes that his brother has truly forgiven him. At last, years of hatred come to an end, but watching all of this from a distance fills Ahmad with rage. He pulls out a rocket launcher and fires a missile at both brothers. The moment Shamshire sees the missile coming toward them, he immediately pushes Burhan away and saves his life. A huge explosion follows, leaving both of them badly injured. After some time, Burhan regains consciousness. His mask is broken, and the wounded Ahmad is slowly walking toward him. Burhan gets back on his feet and tries to fight, but Ahmad brutally beats him down. Just then, the injured Shamshire gathers his last bit of strength and throws his sharp weapon at Ahmad, striking him in the shoulder. Furious, Ahmad turns his gun towards Shamshire and starts firing. Seeing this, Burhan rises with all the strength he has left and charges straight at Ahmad. During their final battle, Burhan says that he always saw Ahmad as his hero, loved him, and trusted him with all his heart. But Ahmad coldly replies that he never considered either of them his sons. To him, they were nothing more than soldiers trained to obey his every command. Hearing those words completely breaks Burhan's heart. He blocks Ahmad's attack and declares that he will never allow him to ruin another innocent life again. After that, he removes his mask and faces Ahmad with his true identity revealed. A fierce battle follows and, in the end, Burhan finally defeats Ahmad. He removes Ahmad's artificial eye and brings his reign of terror to a permanent end. As soon as the fight is over, Burhan rushes to Shamshire's side, but by then, it is already too late. In his final moments, Shamshire apologizes for every mistake he ever made and begs his brother to forgive him. A few moments later, he dies in Burhan's arms. Losing his brother, Burhan breaks down in tears because, in the end, Shamshire sacrificed his own life to save his. A short while later, the police arrive at the harbor and arrest Ahmad along with the remaining members of the MADA organization. With that, the dangerous gang is finally destroyed forever. A few days later, life across the city slowly returns to normal. Kellawang Man has now become the people's greatest hero. The hospital reopens, and patients once again receive treatment under Dr. Maloney's care. Burhan also begins a new chapter in his life. From now on, his only mission is to protect innocent people. One day, while on patrol, he finds a tiny kitten on the street. He decides to keep it and names it Baby Cat. From that day forward, the little cat becomes his new companion, and together they continue helping those in need. With that, this incredible story comes to an end. So, what did you think of this movie? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories. See you in the next video.